Come with me out to the workshop, or back into the workshop. I went and grabbed you because I thought I'd have another Dave's Diary update, still on Sunday in the mid to late afternoon. And what have we got here? That's what we've got there. It is the version that I've always wanted. It is the version that I'd seen many times. It is a version of a version that I had in times past, but just a better interpretation of it. And it crystallized for me when I was actually watched another video of a maker, and he'd made quite a nice unit for his workshop, and he had one very similar, but they had what was either 12mm or 16mm long bolts, diameter bolts, but they had quite a big lift on them. The panel, like the green one here, was separated by a good 3 inches, 75mm, 4 inches, 100mm, something like that. Whatever it was quite a bit. And I thought, you've just introduced the possibility of it tilting on the bolts. Now, I can't recall, because it's been a wee while since I've seen it. There may have been some other way to stabilize it, but it stuck in the back of my mind because I thought other than that, it achieves everything that I want and need for my situation. So when I drew this up, I made the modifications I thought would make it more robust. I've built it now, and I got it right. Yay! So what I've done is I've got 4, of course, 10mm bolts embedded in the melamine top, and in threaded inserts, and then there's 2 nuts and a washer that go underneath. So that's about 15-16mm in between there. And then I've got the top slid down on the bolts over fairly neat fitting holes, and then knobbed down and secured. And it is really rock solid. That means that shortness of bolt sticking out of this unit is quite stout and robust because it hasn't got the leverage factor. Now, I can do that because this is the saw I will be using and no other. If this were to break, I'd replace it with the same saw. He may have had the constraints of having to accommodate different sized bases for his setup. I would have done it around a different way, but like this, and then make it to the biggest unit or saw that he can conceive being used on it, and then make packers for the saw itself to make up any shortfall. But anyway, that was his choice, and I've kind of copied it, and it was, as I said, I've already used this before in a different setup, not for a saw. And I'm happy I went this way. It is simple, straightforward, didn't take long to do. There's nothing complicated about it, but it has the facility that I want. So one of the things I was concerned about was that wiggle potential, which isn't there. But as part of the design is, now imagining this is my wing table, where I'm going to have my table out on the wings, hence the name. That was designed to be butted up hard to this to stop any chance of that sort of movement. Backwards and forwards is less of an issue for my situations, but sideways, you can't have that. I don't have it anyway, so yay. And I've got this blocking the base from moving. Additionally, when I come to actually fix the base down, it can't go backwards and forwards because of these steel plates. So it's rigid this way between steel plates. But I'll have a bolt coming out of either the upstand here or a separate block in here, and it'll have a nut that will wind up and push up against the metal body. So it'll be metal to metal, and it can be locked into place, meaning I can, if I wish, pull the saw out. and then put it back in and know that I've got a hard stop in the fire metal plates or in the metal bolts for this to set back into. In the past I've done it other ways on this one here, and it kind of worked, but just always had that little oh bugger factor. This is going to take a lot of that oh bugger out of it so that it is a lot more rigid and tunable. And as I've mentioned probably once or twice before, I can, at my discretion or requirement, change the bolts position, thread them in or out on each respective side, and that will tune the saw left or right. That's simply to align it for some perceived method of measurement or blocks. And if you want to fine tune it, I can. So it can go this way, it can go this way, it can't as yet go this way. But as I said, that's less of an issue. I'm not having wing fences out the side here. Like, I'm not extending a fence that lines up with this out here. I don't like those, but you could if you wanted. And this would then be able to be tuned simply by removing these blocks, either grinding a bit off or packing a bit off of this, with a bit of aluminium tape or something, just to give you that hard surface, or whatever other method. And if I was a bit more paranoid about it, I would have thought of a method to pull the saw in and out, but I don't have that requirement, so there you go. Thing is, a lot of people look like me, and probably you, will probably look at someone's idea and go, yeah, I don't really like that, but that aspect looks okay. I might take that and use in my workshop. Well, same here. You might look at this and go, well, that's a real ass, but I do like this part of it. So we take something, we become a bit of a magpie, pick up what we want and leave what we don't. So there's that. So I'm very happy with that. Just saying. So now I've got to hook into getting these side panels glued up and then laminate and then clashed, and then I can start putting them in place here. And there's a little bit of fiddliness with that as well. Now, as a quickie, just to or to round off what I've been talking about or thinking about in the last few weeks, is the storage of these sorts of containers. Now, these are incredibly similar to some of the ones that I've seen on some of the YouTube channels, and these ones happen to be labelled for Fuller, and I've seen others that are very similar to Stanley brand and Harbour Freight. Now, we don't have Harbour Freight here in New Zealand, but we do have this. We have Stanley, but I haven't seen the Stanley, or have I? But I've chosen this one because I've looked at different ones. I've bought different ones like that one over there. And while it's good, it's not this for a couple of reasons. Excuse my cough. But when you put your lid down, all the items stay in their little compartments, be it washers or not. So this, actually I can show you this one, it makes more sense. It's a wee bit lighter. This has got a lot of washers in it. When I tip it over, because it is a two-sided one, oh, hang on, I put it back. Hey, the washers are still in the same place. Well done, Fuller. Not all of these work that way. You tip them over, you tip them back, something flexes, something moves, and the bloody stuff falls out and it's all over the place and you just don't know where it is. So that's why I've chosen Fuller brand. And I had thought I do like the two-sided ones, but they can be a bit of a faff. So I'm going to stick with the single layer, and they are roughly half height compared to the bigger ones. So I can set up my drawers with a slide or something to take the big trays or two small trays containers. Now, again, searching the YouTube, doing a wee bit of a look, and I saw this chap, and I can't recall, I should have actually got his the channel name, but he was using, I think the Harbour, I'm not too certain, but the Harbour Freight ones, or whatever one he was using, the handle comes out from the body. This is pretty much flush. I like this one a little bit better. However, he shaped his shelf, which was just simply a bit of, I don't know whether it was 3/8 or 10 mil or not, custom wood perhaps, melamine, and he shaped it to the shape of his. Oh, hang on, pointing camera, shape of the handle, so that the shelf itself and the box had the same front shape, and he could reach and lift this one up and pull it out, or reach through or underneath onto the shelf itself and pull it out with this on it, of course. And I thought, oh, that's pretty clever. So I'm going to have a look at doing something not dissimilar to that, there or thereabouts. He also mentioned that, well, not mentioned, but he showed that his shelf was deeper than the box, which is the same thing as I've got, and that aids the stability of the whole unit, because you don't want them too tall, the cabinetry too tall, because they become very tippy. So a little bit deeper. And I thought, yeah, I've got exactly the same thing here. Like here, I've got but I've got a lot of waste space at the back here. Well, no waste space with him, mate. And he actually had a little dividers in the back there and a little box built in, so that he could pull these out and get to the things at the back. Bit more of the bulk storage in the back or whatever. You could put one of these in the back there, so you're making use of that space. Probably as good an idea as any, in fact. So I'm going to copy that as well, or at least contemplate using it. I had thought about having just those shelves like I've got there, as most of the people doing this sort of thing has, and that pulls in and out. Probably will replicate that as well because of the cost. Then I thought about that a little bit more. I'm going, hang on a minute. That's true, it is the cheaper. It's half the price of the alternate, which I'm going to mention. But if I were to have to buy and pay good hard-earned money to get a sheet of melamine, the cost of that sheet quickly makes the cost of bearing runners like this look not as expensive as I would have once thought. Caveat: I've got free melamine. Here's the point I'm trying to make. Sometimes the cost savings that you perceive you are making start to disappear or reduce because the cost of the panel has to be offset against the cost of the runners. I know you'd have to put a base in for the runners as well, or draw or what have you, but I was thinking if I were to, ideally I'd have my shelf pull out with captured runners like that. What I'm contemplating doing is putting some of those down the bottom, some of those just a shelf, timber, custom wood that pull out completely on their own, and then, as I was mentioning, not having too much of that sort of storage up high where there's weight and more difficulty to see what it is, but to turn that into vertical pull-out areas, maybe for mounting drills and battery chargers, etc. on. So that's a thought. That's a lot lighter. That's heavy, but just ordinary shelves, and down there pull out full extension drawer slides so you can get at the things at the back because they're down below your knees. So anything between knee height, maybe middle of the thigh, middle of the upper leg, to shoulder height, okay, in between there, it's easy access. Below the knee, harder to access. Now I'm thinking kitchen design type stuff. So you want to have pull out, full extension on the lower part as a suggestion. Above chest to shoulder height, Anything above that really wants to be vertical, that pull out, so that you can reach and grab that way. You don't want to have to try and see into, especially for those that aren't gifted with long legs. That's me and a lot of other people. So the design requirements may change. If I remake this unit as well, which is almost certain, I'm contemplating getting rid of those drawers in their version and putting through a top about this height right through to this unit as well, and maybe having some drawers in there which will be able to pull out, and they'll have a whole lot of those little permanent in place, like basically some of these, but just those little items that you just need placing in little cubbies, a little hole, And on that, I saw this chap. His name's Doug. Again, sorry to Doug. I forgot his channel name, but he made up this peg that allows you to effectively create all these divisions, and of any size whatsoever. And this peg joined them all together in the corners. And I'm going, oh yeah, that was what I was trying to achieve in my fiddling in SketchUp the other night. But he makes them, and it's dead easy, fiddly because of the size of it, but dead easy. And you just make some length or lengths up of them out of timber, and then you can just use other panels to make up whatever size box you want. And I thought, oh, I think I might do it that way. Besides which, I've already done one like that, but for my planters. And I thought, it's the same damn thing. So I'm going to have a crack at that. And that will allow me to custom make for the size drawer or shelf or behind the box, those sorts of storage containers or dividers. So sometimes we take one idea or part of an idea and homogenize it with something else, and it comes out to what we actually want for our situation. So yay, or not, or you come up with a totally original idea. Anyway, very happy with the way this has turned out. Again, as I said, it's simple, straightforward, and it works for my situation. That a lot of thinking has to go on before I settle on that. So yeah, okie doke. Well, that's it. Sunday, got a holiday tomorrow, being Labour Day here in New Zealand. So yeah, I might as well do some more work, which is a kind of ironic because Labour Day, if you don't know, is oh God, I hope I'm right on this. Show my ignorance. But Labour Day, as I understand it, was when we had granted by statute a 40-hour working week. So yeah, and then you become self-employed, and that goes out the window because you either work 0 hours or silly hours. Anyway, Labour Day tomorrow for us, and gives me more time to start working on these things. Rightio, that's it. Waffled on enough. Oh, it was 18 minutes of that. Rightio, see you in the next one now. Bye.